welcome everyone. In today's video, we are going to discuss about intra-arterial pressure changes during the cardiac cycle. So, in the previous lecture, we have discussed about the arterial and ventricular systole and diastole. So, now we see how the arterial pressure change during one cardiac cycle. So, let's start the video and the presence pressure in the arteria is called as intra-arterial pressure. So intra-arterial pressure is going to what it is responsible for the opening of atrioventricular valves. So the valves which is present between the arteria and the ventricles, it is opening it and also filling for the filling of ventricles. So when these valves open, then the ventricles is filled. So this is the main factors for the development of venous pulse. So this is the diagram of arterial pressure. So first you see at here part that the arterial systole is going to occur, that your arteria is going to contract and a small amount of blood is going to enter your ventricles. Okay, now then this is the part of ventricular systole. Okay, after arterial systole there is what ventricular systole. Acha, in the arterial systole the fourth sound of heart is going to produce. Okay, so in the isometric contraction, this is the first part of your ventricular systole, and in this all the valves are closed and there is a contraction of your ventricles, but during the contraction the length and the volume of the ventricles remain same, just the pressure inside the ventricles increases. So during isometric contraction the first sound of your heart is going to produce. Now other is the ejection fraction. So in ejection period your blood from the ventricles move to your aorta and your pulmonary arteries. So in this wave your semilunar waves are going to open, and the one thing you remember that always when the waves are going to open there is no production of sound. So the next period is the protodiastolic period. This is the first stage of your ventricle diastole. This isometric contraction and ejection period. This is the period which is included in your what, in the ventricular contraction. This is included in your ventricular relaxation. So this is just the due to the closure of semilunar where there is no chain in it, just it is indicating that there is end of a contraction period. So in this period the second sound of your heart is going to produce. Now in isometric relaxation your ventricles are going to relax, and the volume and the pressure inside them decreases, but the length and volume remain same. So during so then after it we have a rapid slowly filling phase. So in the rapid filling phase the arteria and ventricle valves are opened and the blood rushes to move into your ventricles. So due to this rushing of this blood, again the third sound of your heart is going to produce, and then there is a slow filling phase. And in the rapid filling phase 70% of the blood transfer, in the slow filling phase there is a 20% again transfer, and in the arterial systole 10% of the blood is going to enter into it. So this is the change in the arterial pressure. So the method of study is that arterial right pressure is recorded directly by the arterial catheterization. So left arterial pressure is determined directly by measuring the capillary pressure, and the left is correctly measured by it. So the pulmonary capillary wedge pressure. Okay, so this pressure is exerted in the pulmonary capillary after offsetting from the proximal part of the pulmonary artery. So it is a balloon tipped catheter, and this catheter is used to measure your blood pressure in the left part of it. So after measuring the pressure, this is the pressure curve consisting of A wave, X wave, Y wave, but we don't have to discuss them. Then there is the intraventricular pressure changes during the cycle. So intraventricular changes significance is that it pressure develop inside the ventricles of your heart, and it is necessary for the circulation of your blood because all the blood circulated from your ventricles. Okay, So, method of study is that by the catheterization and the maximum and minimum pressure, there is some difference in the right and left ventricle. The pressure is always more in the left ventricle than the right ventricle. So, right ventricle have less pressure. So, we don't have to discuss pressure curves because they are not included in our syllabus. Then the aortic pressure changes. So aortic pressure is developed in the aorta, and it is used for the maintenance of your blood flow, and it also measured by the use of catheter, and this process is called as catheterization. Then there is the aortic pressure curves. We don't have to discuss them. Next is the ventricular volume changes. So volume of ventricular is the important factor to maintain the cardiac output, and it also measured by the use of cardiometer and your angiography. Volume of left and right ventricles is measured by the end diastolic and systolic volume. So amount of blood is same in both left and right ventricle. Maximum amount of volume of blood in each ventricle means at the end diastolic volume is about 130 to 150 in each ventricle. Okay, so one ventricle has 130 to 150, other ventricle have 150 to 130. So at the end of ejection period, at the end systolic volume is about 160 to 60 to 80 ml. So ejection fraction is the volume, and the equation for the ejection fraction is stroke volume divided by your end diastolic volume, and your stroke volume is equal to end diastolic volume minus end systolic volume. So this was all about the today's lecture. I hope that you will understand the chapter of cardiac cycle, and this was the last part of this chapter, and in the next video we will discuss the next chapter. So if you like this video, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and also share it with your friends and relatives. Thank you so much for watching it, and Allah Hafiz.